On April 14, 2026 in Geneva, the world's most powerful luxury brand walked into Watches and Wonders and quietly did something that nobody saw coming. They did not launch a new flagship. They did not unveil a long-awaited successor. Instead, they erased one of the most iconic objects in modern luxury, the Rolex GMT-Master II Pepsi, and left nothing in its place. No Coke, no replacement, just a hole in the catalog where the most recognizable two-tone bezel in watchmaking used to live. And here at MONARC, we do not read this as a watch story. We read it as a luxury market intelligence story. Because what Rolex did in Geneva is not just about watches, it is a masterclass in how the modern luxury economy actually works, how scarcity is engineered, how desire is manufactured, and how the wealthiest brand in horology continues to write the playbook that every other luxury house in the world is trying to copy. So today we are going to break down what really happened at Watches and Wonders 2026, but through a different lens than you have heard before. We are not going to give you a parts list. We are going to decode the strategy, because if you understand how Rolex moves capital, taste, and supply, you understand how the entire luxury asset class is being reshaped in real time. Let's get into it. Start with the headline. The Pepsi is dead. The stainless steel reference 126712 BLRO and the white gold 136719 BLRO were both pulled from the catalog with no announcement, no press release, and no farewell. The product page on Rolex.com simply returned a message, "This page is not available," within hours of the fair opening. That alone tells you something. Rolex did not celebrate the discontinuation. They did not market it. They just deleted it. And in luxury, silence is almost always louder than noise. When a brand kills its most photographed product without ceremony, it is not embarrassment. It is confidence. They know the absence will speak for them. Now, the conventional read here is technical. The red and blue Cerachrom bezel was always difficult to manufacture. The red half uses an alumina ceramic base instead of zirconia, because there is no stable mineral pigment that produces uniform red on the standard substrate. Rejection rates are high, yields are low. Killing the Pepsi frees up production capacity. That is the surface answer, and it is true, but it is incomplete. Rolex has had this manufacturing problem for over a decade and chose to live with it. The interesting question is not why discontinue now. The interesting question is what the discontinuation actually accomplishes. And here it gets interesting. The Pepsi spent 8 years trading at roughly double its retail price. $12,000 at the counter, $24,000 to $26,000 on the secondary market, and unworn examples now pushing past $40,000. When a watch sustains that kind of premium for that long, it stops being a retail product. It becomes a financial instrument. And luxury houses, especially Rolex, have a very specific relationship with financial instruments. They like to make them, but they do not like to be defined by them. The moment a piece becomes more interesting as an investment than as an object, the brand loses control of its own narrative. The Hulk Submariner went the same way in 2020 for the same reason. The conversation shifted from craftsmanship to portfolio allocation, and Rolex pulled the plug. The Pepsi has just followed suit. So what does this tell us about how the top of the luxury market is being managed? It tells us that the most sophisticated brands are no longer chasing volume. They are curating cultural position. They are willing to leave money on the table, billions of dollars of latent demand, in exchange for keeping the mythology intact. That is the inverse of how mass luxury works. Mass luxury sells aspiration through accessibility. Top-tier luxury sells aspiration through subtraction. Every reference Rolex removes makes the remaining catalog more valuable, not less. And every collector who did not get a Pepsi at retail now becomes a permanent buyer in a closed market. That is not lost revenue. That is a transferred premium, captured downstream by every authorized dealer, every gray market specialist, and every flipper who held inventory through the speculation cycle. Now look at what Rolex did give us, because the giveaways tell the same story from the other direction. The new Rolesium Daytona, reference 126502, is a steel and platinum chronograph with a white enamel dial, an anthracite ceramic bezel, and a sapphire caseback. Retail price, $57,800. It is more expensive than full 18-karat gold Daytona configurations, and critically, it is off catalog. You will not find it on Rolex's website. You will not find it on the configurator. It does not officially exist as something you can request. This is the same playbook Rolex used with the Le Mans Daytona in 2023, which has since appreciated nearly 390% in 3 years. A watch that retailed for $51,400 now trades for over $250,000. That is not accident. That is not market inefficiency. That is a brand engineering scarcity at the production layer and capturing the upside through brand equity, not unit sales. If you've been following MONARC for the deeper luxury intelligence breakdowns we do here, this is exactly the pattern we keep flagging. Take a second to subscribe so you catch the next one. Now back to the analysis. Look at the Master II. Originally launched in 2007, pulled from the catalog in 2024, and now reintroduced in 2026 with a complete redesign. The bezel is cleaner, and the countdown moved from the dial to the flange. The hands now run counterclockwise, a first for any Rolex. The crown no longer needs to be unscrewed to set the timer. This is more than a refresh. It's a signal that Rolex is willing to invest engineering capital into a collection that, frankly, struggled commercially. Why? Because abandoning a line publicly is more expensive in brand equity terms than fixing it. When a luxury house reinvests in an underperformer, it tells the market the line has a future, and that lifts the value of every existing piece in that family. It's a stabilization play, and stabilization plays are how durable brands defend the floor underneath their entire catalog. Then there is the Oyster Perpetual Centenary. The new multicolor Jubilee dial is executed in 10 different lacquer colors applied sequentially, and it is available in 31, 36, and 41 millimeter cases. There is the Oyster 100, the first two-tone Oyster Perpetual in the modern era, with green dial accents and a 100 marker on the crown commemorating 100 years of the Oyster case. Both pieces are priced almost identically to their standard counterparts, and this is where the strategy becomes really interesting. By pricing the most desirable variants at standard retail, Rolex creates an instant mismatch between supply and demand. Every collector wants one. Almost none will get one at the counter. The waitlist becomes the actual product, and the waitlist isn't free. Access to it is gated through purchase history, dealer relationships, and brand loyalty. That is the real Rolex moat. They are not selling watches. They are selling status credentials, and the watches are simply the receipts. The seventh and final pattern is the quiet one, and it is the most important. Across the past 3 years, Rolex has been systematically trimming its stone dial offerings. The Falcon's Eye Yachtmaster 42 is gone. The white gold turquoise day date is gone. Several date just 31 floral dial variants are gone. And while Rolex still offers stone dials, the catalog is contracting. This is what the smart luxury intelligence community has been tracking. Rolex is not just reacting to demand. It is shaping the entire collectible category by limiting the supply at the source. When you combine that with the off-catalog Daytona strategy, the centenary releases, and the Pepsi exit, a clear thesis emerges. The crown is permanently capping its most desirable references and letting the secondary market absorb the demand. That is not a side effect. That is the architecture. So what does all of this mean for you, whether you are a collector, an investor, or just someone trying to understand where the luxury market is heading? 3 things. First, the floor under top-tier luxury is being reinforced, not weakened. Every discontinuation locks in scarcity. Every off-catalog release builds appreciation. The brands at the top of the pyramid are getting more selective, not less, and the gap between them and the rest of the luxury market is widening every year. While mid-market luxury is fighting margin compression and discount fatigue, the top tier is doing the opposite, restricting supply, raising real prices, and rewarding patience. Second, the secondary market is no longer secondary. It is the actual primary market for the references that matter, and it operates on a completely different logic than retail. Price discovery happens through dealer networks, auction houses, and trusted marketplaces, not configurators. If you do not understand that ecosystem, you are buying blind, you are pricing blind, and you are almost certainly leaving money on the table. The premium is not a glitch in the system. It is the system. And third, the playbook Rolex is running is being studied by every other luxury house in the world. Hermes already runs it on Birkins, where access is gated by purchase history, and the resale market trades at multiples of retail. Ferrari runs it on limited editions, where allocation is rationed across decades of brand loyalty. Patek Philippe runs it on the Nautilus. Even fine wine and fine art operate on similar principles, where vintage scarcity and provenance drive valuation more than any underlying material cost. What we are watching at Watches and Wonders is the most polished version of a strategy that now defines the entire upper tier of global luxury, and Rolex is still the brand that does it best. That is the MONARC Red on Watches and Wonders 2026. Not a list of references, a breakdown of what the references mean, because anyone can tell you what got launched. We are here to tell you why it matters and what to do about it. If this is the kind of luxury market intelligence you want more of, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you do not miss the next breakdown. We have a lot more coming, and the market is moving fast. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.